Hello everyone, I'm here with Maher Nasser, the director of UNDPI Outreach Division, and we are here at the Model UN workshop in Vienna, which is a great exchange opportunity for Model UNs. Hello, Mr. Nasser.
Hello.
My first question is actually about this workshop. What is your expectation of the best outcome of this workshop?
There cannot be just one outcome. I think when you have more than 70, 80 participants, I would expect that each and every one of them goes back enriched with experience of how to better organize a Model UN, equipped with resources that they can take back to their own Model United Nations and use it as an opportunity to educate about the United Nations and how it works in reality, not as some of the simulations that don't represent how the UN actually functions. So the satisfaction of the participants and then successful Model UNs that they would themselves undertake would be the best outcome.
Okay, so actually the Model UNs get more realistic, closer to the United Nations than they are at the moment.
That is correct. I mean, what we have seen is that there are many Model United Nations being organized at the university, high school, even middle school and primary school levels, and many of those aren't actually following the proper rules of procedure of the United Nations. They follow parliamentary rules of procedure. They have developed their own cultures, their own traditions, which don't really mimic what happens at the United Nations.
Okay.
And therefore, some of those are superficial differences, but some of them are substantial and relate to the nature of the organization. So it would be a mistake not to try to correct that misrepresentation.
Okay. Do you think this is also a big obstacle regarding the relationship between the United Nations and a lot of Model UNs?
I think we have not had the opportunity historically to be involved in the actual organization of Model United Nations until a few years ago when the department, other than providing some speakers or facilities for some Model UNs in New York to take place inside the UN, the DPI did not get involved in organizing a Model UN until a few years ago when the first global Model UN was organized in Geneva, followed by one in Kuala Lumpur and one in Incheon. And that hands-on experience gave us the opportunity to develop an insight on organizing it, using the proper rules of procedure, trying to use it in a way that educates about the United Nations as well. And we are now putting that gained experience into a sort of a guide how-to, which will be available online free of charge for any people interested in a Model UN to use it as a simulation. And we wanted to organize, and like this workshop is one of a series that we hope to organize regularly for Model UN enthusiasts, people who are organizing Model UNs, whether students. At the moment we are only targeting university students plus teachers who in some high schools are organizing Model UN themselves.
Okay. Was there some kind of special event that actually UNDPI became aware of this problem within the Model UN world regarding the rules of procedure and the structure, or did it just appear over time that UNDPI became aware that there is a problem?
I wouldn't call it a problem. I mean, as long as, a simulation, in a way there are many positive aspects of participating in Model UN, even those with the different rules of procedure, because the benefit of participation on the individual in terms of improving their research skills, their speaking skills, their dialogue, accepting the views of others, knowing a little bit about the United Nations is all coming with that in a way. But some rules of procedure may not relate to how the UN works, because the UN being an organization of member states, each sovereign in its own right, is not like a parliament where members of parliament are not, they don't all, for example, they don't all come from the same districts, they don't have the same electorate, but they don't all have the same weight and their seniority and party system, so it's different. In the GA, every member state is equal to the next, so that gives it a different way of the rules of procedure, plus other little things. So when these things came to our attention, and they only came to our attention when we started organizing one and trying to train the officers and officials in how the UN is run, and they say, oh, but this is not how we have been doing it. And that's when we came across the different rules of procedure.
Yeah, that's I can imagine that you was quite surprised when you choose the office for the global ModuEN. I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah. As if we talk about ModuENs, a very large part, as you said, is the research and the preparation. So if you would go to a ModuEN for the first time, how would you prepare?
If going as a delegate, I think it's important to understand the country that you are representing, and it's preferable always to assign countries other than the one's own country, so that to give them the challenge of getting the view of a different country. One can, and there are many resources online about information about that, the country that, let's say I'm assigned to be representing country X, I would need to read something about the history of that country. I would even read some literature coming from that country to give you some of what is the common culture in that country. Also, there are resources. Again, we are making links available on the special website to the permanent mission of all member states, the foreign ministries, and that gives you access to what they are putting on their website as their areas of expertise, areas of interest, areas of priority, which committees they have chaired. You can also look at the voting record. That also gives you an indication where this country stands on whatever issues there are. So I would educate myself to be properly representing that country and bearing in mind that I may not agree with those views. And diplomats, when they are representing their country, they are speaking on behalf of their foreign ministry and their government. So their own personal views may be, and I have come across this, when there are actually delegates who are saying something because that's the instruction they have from the government. Personally, they might disagree with it, but they have to be faithful to the position that their government has asked them to represent. And as a delegate, I think that's something that I would try to do.
Isn't this also a big difference to parliaments and parliamentarian relations?
Correct.
Okay. You told me that you have some experience in fundraising programs, and this in the past. Fundraising is always very difficult, especially now, the current financial situation in Europe or worldwide. So, what kind of advice could you give to ModuENs regarding fundraising and programs and how to organize it also?
I mean, larger conferences have an easier task at getting fundraising because you need to go to basically maybe sometimes it's sponsorships from private companies, and sponsors would want to have their name or title or logo appear, and you have to therefore offer them something that this is a conference with 2,000 people and they will all be, carrying your logo or your name. So in a way, sponsorship is one way of getting that funding. Some ministries, and you have to, in some countries, ministries of youth, there are ministries of youth, or other ministries that might have some ability to sponsor certain programs. There are certain foundations at the moment that are, if a proposal is properly presented as an educational tool, you could also seek some donations according to that. Airlines, hotels can also be approached. We are bringing a big conference to this city, and can you give us a special discount? That is in itself a kind of contribution, or in a way to contribute to the city councils, city halls. There are many ways of doing it. You could also organize a fundraiser for a specific goal, and in different countries there are different traditions for that. Crowdsourcing has become a major source of funding, and that we have seen that even in political campaigns.
Yeah.
In political campaigns, when you are doing it properly, you can get a lot of $1, $5, €1, €2, €3 contributions. If you take it over a period of time, it adds up to quite a bit.
So you think, especially crowd funding, you think this is possible for ModuENs as well?
I think for Model UN, when you know that there are 400,000 people every year at least participate in Model UN, I'm not sure how many of those at the university level, but there could be a possibility to do that at some level.
So it would be at least interesting to try it out.
No harm in trying.
That's a good point. So thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And thank you very much for watching. And if you want to have more information, go to UNYANET.org. Thank you.
Thank you.